everybody, and welcome to another episode of Horror Movie Night. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way right now. This episode was intended to be recorded at Monster Mania, but you sitting in the future already know that in the past, Monster Mania got postponed. Brian is in Atlanta shooting a video for some company or something, so we got the person who is supposed to join us at Monster Mania to join us on this episode. Kyle, welcome back to Horror Movie Night, motherfucker!
I almost didn't even make this.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so bummed that we could not be all together at this time, but I'm so happy that we all get to do this right now.
Well, and
except for the fact that you're upset about watching this film.
Oh yeah, that sucked. The movie sucked.
So let me address this out the gate. Don't let this keep you from watching the first Alligator, because Alligator, the original, masterpiece.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Matt only picked this strictly so that he could discuss Alligator. He's been completely transparent with us, Matt, with Brian and I, that like he's only picking Alligator 2 so he could be like, you know what a really good movie is, Alligator.
Okay, well, I guess the episode's over then. Shit.
So let's also just, let's be optimistic here. This is coming out a couple weeks before like Monster or Pop Rock and Horror would be. Like, all things considered, the world didn't end, and we should be able to see each other at Pop Rock and Horror pretty soon. So that's pretty dope.
This is true.
So we're gonna keep positivity.
If we're talking positivity, I was so positive that I was engorged with positivity when Kyle told me he was coming to Pop Rock and Horror 2. So I mean, I may have changed my pants.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, bless you. Bless you. I'm glad I still have that effect on you after all these years.
So let's talk about Alligator 2, unfortunately.
Do we have to?
So here's the thing. Here's the story on me picking Alligator 2, The Mutation. Mm-hmm. And this goes all the way back to like pre-teenage Matt Kelly.
Whoa.
Pre-teenage Matt Kelly would walk around the horror aisle, terrified to rent anything.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, bad there.
He was a pussy. And one of the pieces of box art that grabbed his attention all the time was the Alligator box art. Mm-hmm. But I would flip it over and I'd see that R rating and be like, "Oh no, too scary." But then I'd flip over the Alligator 2, The Mutation box art and be like, "PG-13, eh?" So
sign me the fuck up.
So I rented Alligator 2. And I watched it, and I was like, that movie was fucking awesome because I was like 12. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch Alligator. So like I rented Alligator. This was like before I was like hardcore horror fan, as we all know. That started with Scream. But like I was like, you know what? Alligator 2 wasn't so bad. I bet I could handle Alligator 1. And like I loved Alligator 1. And then the continuation of that story is that maybe 3 or 4 months later, I was spending the week at my grandfather's house with my cousin David, and the Sci-Fi Network had just announced it was like, "Ooh, it's an all lizard week. Each night a different lizard-based movie." And they're like kicking it off Monday with Alligator and Tuesday with Alligator 2, The Mutation. Whoa. And we were like, "Oh!" So he like got a blank VHS tape and we taped both of them. And we did it like old school style, where I was like, literally, when it felt like it was going to commercial, I hit the pause button.
Oh man, this is taking me back.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then they had the little graphic to let you know that they were coming back. So like the graphic would pop up, and it's like, now back to Alligator, and then bah, like I'm pausing. So we had both of them on one VHS tape, and we would sit down and we would watch all 3 hours of Alligator. The whole summer, we watched both of these movies back to back. We could quote them front to back. And then at night, the reason why I can't swim at night is because
that kid in fucking Alligator.
Well, no, not just because of that. Because my cousin had this giant outdoor pool, and he came up with this game called Alligator.
Nope.
And the way that the game worked, the way that the game worked was that he took advantage of the fact that I wore glasses and thus couldn't see with my glasses off, and he would put on goggles, and I would just swim around in a dark pool with no lights. And at any given moment, he would grab me and pull me under.
Hell no.
Hey, Kyle, if you want to know anything about anybody in Matt's extended family, this is where you're learning the truism of Matt's life.
Yeah, I slept on your floor, but this is serious.
That's the setup to Matt's experiences with Alligator. And now we'll begin with my first note, which is, have you ever known a movie's budget just based on the title sequence and music alone?
Yes, correct. Yeah. About in that first 3 minutes. So we have a font that is the equivalent of like knockoff RC car that you'd get for Christmas, so the one that you didn't.
It's like the papyrus of 1980s fonts.
It truly is. It's like I asked for this one thing for Christmas, and you got me not the Walmart brand, the like the Bargain Mart brand.
Yeah, like Big Lots. I went to Big Lots and I got you this
Big
like
Lots,
shitty
yes.
Ninja Turtles, but it's not actually Ninja Turtles. It's like the knockoff. Yeah,
it's Alligator II. And then but my reaction immediately after that was that the first cast person was Joey Baloney, and I just couldn't.
What?
Yeah.
Is that a real name or the name of the character?
No. The actor's name is spelled Baloney, Bologna, and his fucking name is Joe Baloney. And wow. I almost shut it off immediately. I almost called it a day. And then Matt's right. Like 3 minutes in, that first kill, we get the cheapest music. I think like they were default settings on whatever Casio keyboard
that synth. Oh my god, it's so fucking bad and so good.
It was incredible.
But
I can't wait for Console Crash to come out with their own version of.
But here's the weirdest thing. The weirdest thing about how cheap this movie is like. There are so many locations and set pieces.
I know. And there are sound stages like that whole part in the last hour or half hour, of the movie. They're in that bog and they're walking through knee deep or crotch deep water in these reeds. That's just a sound stage. That has to cost like $10,000 to make that.
Yeah, at least.
It's crazy.
And then, how much do you think that they spent on the leg chomping sounds? That's what I really care about. It's like we got the shitty Casio in the background, and we got the hum. I was waiting for a literal Wilhelm scream because the Wilhelm scream is from a movie from like the 30s or 40s. Guy getting eaten by alligator. Like I was so upset that they didn't have the tongue-in-cheek foresight to actually use a Wilhelm scream in this movie.
Because they had a couple tongue-in-cheek things like right out the gate where like his son was like, "See you later, alligator," and I was like,
"No, that was Dee Wallace."
Oh, Dee Wallace said that. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Before we even get to Dee Wallace, the very first line of dialogue in this movie is exposition, which makes it feel like a trauma film from the 80s.
Experimental chemicals, weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get this opening scene where our main character, he walks downstairs and he's tricked by a cassette tape, which is
so dumb.
So dumb. And like this whole scene, the scene where he walks downstairs and he puts in the cassette tape and it's his son, who I don't think we see again throughout the rest of the movie.
Nope, you don't. That kid was on stage or on set for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, before he broke into tears and they were like, "Okay, I guess we're done with Jimmy over here."
Let's be honest. They didn't have budget for Jimmy.
No, they didn't.
That tape is so cutesy that it feels like it belongs in like an action movie where they're getting slaughtered at the end of the first act.
Yes.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Like in any other movie, they both get eaten by the gator before like the 30-minute mark, and then he's got like a vendetta.
You got it.
Yeah, he has no vendetta in this whole goddamn movie. I don't understand his his reasoning for anything
at all. I don't even think he's a cop. I think he was telling his wife and kids that he was a cop, and he was just gallivanting around like pretending to be like he's like a vigilante. But the whole office is like, "Please stop, Joey Baloney."
Yeah, and he's like, he's doing the Lethal Weapon shit where he's like, I'm about to retire, but I need to find this fucking alligator.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of confusing things in this movie though, because there's also like the concept of like a fancy bar for rich people that just has wrestling.
Oh my god! No wonder Matt fucking loves this movie.
Because I like seeing Tokyo Joe take down the Mad Russian. There's nothing wrong with that.
Chavo Guerrero, the late great, fucking playing. It was incredible. I couldn't believe it. It's the class structure of this fictional. I know that it's Los Angeles. I don't know if we know that it's Los Angeles in the movie.
It's fucking New York from Escape from New York.
Yeah,
and it's like a year before Escape from New York happens.
Like that is, I love that this movie basically tried to explain the gentrification of Silver Lake before it happened. It's like it totally predicted it. But like I don't know what class like caste system this whole place is like if the rich people are in this lounge watching wrestling and the poor people are fishing.
And what about the cop that gets like tied up, or he gets chained in he gets handcuffed in the bathroom?
What a farce!
But like nothing makes any sense in that bar.
No.
There are luchadors and wrestlers and the mayor's daughter who's wait, I got a line. Well, looky here, it's hot to trot mayor's daughter, gorgeous lady. Like what?
Yeah.
To be fair, in her defense, she is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Hey, she had a great backyard.
Oh my God, you wrote that shit down too?
Has anybody ever told her that?
Oh man, he goes, hey, are those pants tight enough? And then he tells her that she's got a great backyard. I'm absolutely reminded of Alligator 1 because the male main character is talking to this woman who becomes his lover post-coitus, and he goes, you're a world-class herpetologist with a great set of tits. Which is like the most 1980 thing to say, right?
Oh my God.
That's the only reason I know the term herpetologist.
So how did that character react in Alligator 1?
She was blushing.
Yeah, charmed by it.
Okay.
So this is a common trend in Alligator is wildly inappropriate comments winning the girl over instantaneously.
I feel like this is saying so much about Matt, though.
Well, she reacted in a way that in a normal movie she'd get up close to him and then like knee him in the balls.
Yes, correct.
But like the knee in the balls thing never happened.
No.
Why not? I would have loved it if we would have seen some like slapstick ball torture in this movie.
And you know that Scott must have hated this if he's wishing slapstick was in it.
Yeah, no shit. Just to spice things up. She literally said right before I thought the ball kick was going to come into play, she goes, I've got a good old fashioned sense of self-respect. After she like smiles, blushes at the backyard comment, which again, like in any normal movie, she would like kick him. But in this one, she was like, yeah, and then we're going to make out in your apartment.
And get drunk off our asses.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. The fucking fight when he's wasted? Oh!
Let's talk about not one but two really bad child actors that pop into this movie. One has 0 lines. She's just a little girl that is way too calm to be pointing out that she found a dismembered leg floating in the lake.
Yeah. That was an off the street scenario.
But then the other one is there's a couple shots in this movie that I like vividly remember. And the one is the beach ball shot where the little kid's beach ball falls
this
in the water.
alligator fucking hates beach balls.
Yeah.
But it's like this weird, like, it's one of those things where I'm looking at it and I'm like, so did that gator just nose up, just grab it and pull it down? Because the shot is literally just its snout holding the beach ball as it sinks under the water.
It almost looked like he ran into it by accident. It doesn't look like he...
Sorry,
my
bad.
I am so sorry.
My favorite character in this movie is Ruben, the gang leader, because he has this ridiculous monologue where he's walking by the lake, and it's like every stereotype you could put into like a Hispanic gang member, where he's just like, you know, a lot of kids used to come around here. You like to fish. Now we can't fish. What are you going to do about that, copper?
Yeah.
For us.
Do we really want to talk about the Latinx stereotypes that we've had a serious fucking problem with in 2020 on Horror Movie Night? Because if we're going to do it, we're going to do it with the Latina woman who dances, she runs like a hot dog stand or some shit, right? Yeah. And the hero cop comes up after not having sex with his wife on his birthday, and he's like salsa dancing with her outside her food truck.
She goes, why are all the married men the good dancers?
And he's not a good dancer.
No, he's not. He has the worst hair ever, and he's a horrible dancer. His name is Baloney. I can't. I cannot. What's his character's name? Does anybody remember?
Who cares?
Joey Baloney.
Officer Baloney.
So there's a handful of like mildly, well, I'd say there's one well-known name which is D. Wallace.
D. Wallace, man.
But there's a couple like people whose faces you've seen.
Oh, can I start it off?
Go for it.
Carmen Felipe, better known as Reverend Jackson P. Sawyer from Halloween 4. So we'll gather at the river. You know that guy? The guy who's like, would you like some whiskey? Like he's like, would you like a drink? and Donald Pleasance is like,
Absolutely.
My big one is who I wrote down is Old Man Withers, which may actually be his name in this movie. I don't know, but he's the old man from The Wedding Singer who tries to punch someone.
Dude, that's Carmen Felipe. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the
okay,
same
yeah.
dude. He's the
Carmen
most famous person besides D fucking Wallace in this movie.
So Carmen Felipe, I'm not gonna lie, there was some Matt Kelly waterworks at a point with Carmen Felipe.
Oh no, Matt! Do we need to start talking about every time a fucking horror movie makes you cry? A shitty horror movie makes you cry?
I think it's possible. Do you want to know what scene got me?
No, we already talked about it.
It was specifically when he's being interviewed by Joey Baloney, and he's just like, Otis was my friend. He didn't deserve to be a toothpick.
And then, he didn't.
And then the cop is like, but he was a good guy, and you know where good guys go. And he just nods and points to heaven, and then the scene cuts awkwardly.
And we never returned.
I would have just pointed to the dirt and be like, worm food.
But yeah, there was a moment where he was like shaking his head, and I was like, oh no! And I just felt like a single tear, boo, right down the side of my face.
You are such a baby.
But so you don't know the other famous person that pops up in this movie, Scott?
Tell me.
Motherfucking fat as shit Kane Hodder that's in there is Billy Boy, the brother of the Gator wrestler.
I knew Kane Hodder was in here. I looked at IMDb, and then I waited for him to show up, and I did not fucking recognize him. No. I completely forgot because I looked up IMDb like 2 weeks before watching it.
He's in there. Him and Richard Lane just walking around hunting gators. I love Richard Lane's character, the main gator hunter, because he's just so over the top.
I understand you're professionals, but this is not a professional alligator.
Did you know he's from the Bayou? Could you tell?
I almost wish that they had pushed the Bayou aspect of him to the point that like he needed subtitles.
That would
like,
love that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Straight up Creole. Just have him speaking Creole, you know, like that would be the icing on the motherfucking cake.
Yeah, truly.
So there's two things about this movie that I kind of love in their shittiness. And it's thing number one is that there's like at least 5 shots straight up just reused from the first Alligator movie, and they're just like, fuck it, no one's gonna notice. And they just like throw them in there sporadically. But it's also the difference between the animatronic gator, which is huge, and then when they're trying to make a normal gator look like it's as big.
They did not do nearly as good of a job in this movie as they did in the original Alligator. No. Kyle, it is so much more fun in the original Alligator. But
yeah.
You got to watch the original Alligator, but the best the moment where the alligator, the alligator prop in this movie really, really sings. It just fucking sends it home, man, is when you just see it like nom 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 as he's in the fair, and it's all you see is just the snout just chomping as people are like, ah, in first person. So good.
It's when its giant head bursts through the wall in the sewer, and then it cuts to a regular alligator falling.
I love the regular alligator just clomping through the tunnel later on after it eats like 3 professional alligator wranglers.
And it's just like, oh, this is normal. This is what I do every day.
Don't mind me. Oh, coming through. It's a Midwestern alligator.
Excuse me, you are food now. Thank you.
So the tail attack is a really cool part of this movie that wasn't
my favorite Pokemon
in the first
attack.
movie. Yeah, actually, this is a really shitty Pokemon movie.
It does the gator roll a lot, which was also not in the first Alligator movie. But
it only does the gator roll in the last 30 minutes, which I really wanted to see it attack the beach ball and be like, motherfucker, and like, you know, just roll it.
Can we talk about the insanity of the carnival? Like that the carnival is a we want to buy your house carnival.
Yeah.
Like
I love
insane.
This greedy ass dude, right? Who like clearly his whole thing is to care about money. He immediately walks in and is like, make everything free. But the freak show barker still charges $0.1 is what he said. He charges $0.1 to see his freak show, like at this carnival.
It's because there's boobies.
He's like,
boobies aren't free.
Yeah, tits are not free. 5 cents a piece.
This carnival, you've got your freak show. You've got the like wacky morning DJ trying to promote everything.
Really weird stuff.
And then you've got the Carnival Band that feels like they got lost on their tour with the band from Howling 2. Like they were the opener for that other band, but they were just like, you know what? We got this one gig. We got to go to this carnival. We'll catch up with you.
We'll get to Transylvania eventually. We're howling.
Yeah, she was wearing blinders before they were cool. Like the
oh yeah, the Kanye blinders. Yeah, she beat him to the punch by
This film predicted a lot of things.
You know, the thing that it didn't predict is stealing the Jaws theme when they're at the fair, because it's literally like ba-da, ba-da. I'm like, I know that the Jaws theme is literally 2 notes, but at the same time, it's come on. I mean, it's Alligator II, and there have been like 4 Jaws movies by this point. I'm assuming.
Yeah,
come on.
I think you're right.
Yeah, no, there was all 4 by then, because the last one was 87. This is 91.
Yeah.
Damn, I've been doing this show long enough that it's innate when I know that Jaws. I don't even like Jaws that much at all. Yeah. I'm a Last Shark guy, you know.
This is 11 years after the first Alligator movie. That's how long they were holding out, perfecting this script. The people just demanded an Alligator movie.
And if they perfected this script, let me tell you, all the exposition really made me realize what was going on in the film. I couldn't believe, for a film that had as much blatant exposition as it did, I did not know what was going on in this movie most of the time. I didn't know what storyline.
That's called tension.
Not even when they find a giant barrel that says like toxic chemicals.
I don't remember that.
Do you remember that guy shooting the mayor and killing him? He shot him on the Ferris wheel.
No, what?
There's a lot of people who die not by the alligator in this movie.
This movie is very murdery, but there's not much alligator murder.
No,
a lot. They run a cop off the road.
Yeah,
my favorite is the mayor's last line. Do you remember what the mayor's dying words are?
No, before he does that, the real estate magnate goes, "What you're seeing is the beginning of an empire, and I'm the king." And I'm like, this guy doesn't realize that you need to actually go to acting school.
Oh yeah, you can't just do that.
He holds up the gun, so the mayor knows. The mayor knows that it's coming, and he goes, "Do it. We both deserve this." What? And then just takes the kill. Just allows him to get got.
Oh no!
And then does his daughter, the hot girl, like? I'm gonna be honest. I kind of checked out.
She sheds a tear, but then she's back on Gator watch, and that's when we
Don't
get.
worry, Hudson was Hudson. Is that his name?
Yeah, Hudson.
Hudson
or Hawkins.
Hawkins.
I think Hawkins might be it. Who cares?
There was
whatever. They're all bad names.
She was there to catch her when she fell. She was good. She got a nice backyard. What are you gonna do?
And the thing is that no one's quote unquote backyard looked good in 1991 fucking mom jeans. Right?
No, objectively not.
But then we get probably my favorite version of the Gator. We see a lot of versions of the Gator, but my favorite is the gigantic floating one that's just kind of cruise control through the water.
Yeah. It ran out of batteries and it was just floating towards them. Like the propeller definitely stopped, and it was just like, get the shot. It's called tension.
And then there's the acting of not the main cop, but the rookie who becomes his assistant.
Oh my god, the guy that's banging the mayor's daughter.
Yeah,
yes,
when he's in the helicopter and he's just screaming down, "Go! Get him! Leg! Go!"
I was waiting so intently, like my eyes were glazed the fuck over after the fair, and then we come back to the scene and there's a helicopter and there's a monster in the water, and I'm like, oh my god, is Hudson or Hawkins or whatever the fuck his name is he gonna get eaten in half like the dude in The Last Shark? Because I was really there for it, and I got disappointed as fuck.
If it was an R-rated movie, maybe, but this is PG-13 Alligator 2.
And there's nothing about the original Alligator that makes it any more PG-13 than any more R-rated. You know, they are both very.
The gore is up there.
Are there any boobs in either of these movies? No, I don't think.
There is half a boob in the first one.
Okay, a half a boob in what, 81? Is that 80?
That's like -2 boobs.
Yeah, dude, like you can have a full frontal nudity before Gremlins and get a PG rating. Like Meatballs, that shit's PG.
That's crazy.
So, they go back to the alligator's normal home.
Shoot him with a fucking grenade launcher.
Shoot him with a grenade launcher that they just happen to have hanging out in that that helicopter. And you know what? I will give it this much. If I'm going to talk about which one had a cooler death of the gator, I think I might go with this one, because in the first one, it's like you see the gator and then like the prop just kind of blows up, but it's like in a standstill, and then it just cuts to the above the street as they're all like, oh no, an explosion. But this one, you see like the slow-mo of like the lower jaw just like spinning in the air after the explosion.
Yeah, it's actually pretty gristly.
Yeah.
That's the adjective I'd like to use. Like there are pieces of that prop just flying everywhere. I don't know what they made it out of, but I am impressed.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like they must have put all their money in set pieces and that gator. And then we're like, oh no. Someone get a Casio keyboard and see if any of the program music is good for this.
Dude, in 1991, I could have written a better soundtrack, and I was 9.
Hey guys, we will be back to talk about our double features for Alligator II, The Mutation, in just a second. But first, let's talk about this week's sponsor, Best Fiends! Last time I was on this episode, I was telling you how I was struggling to beat a specific level. I finished it. It took me like an extra day or two, but I finished it, and then I moved forward, and now I'm well past level 250. I'm just cruising through this game. I love it. I just have to keep on playing. I cannot be stopped. Anyway, I am now on a boss level. I think I'm at level 258. That sounds about right. But right before I came down to record, I had gotten that bad boy down to 8%. I'm talking 8%. You know how frustrating it is to get to 8% and then you're out of turns? But here's the thing. I'm not upgrading my characters quickly enough. I got to upgrade my characters. That's what I'm going to do when I'm done recording this. I'm going to upgrade those characters, and then I'm going to take that boss down. And you can try to catch up with me. Good luck, because I'm pretty good at this game, despite what you might have heard from me on this ad right now. If you want to engage your brain with fun puzzles and collect tons of cute characters, then trust me, with over 100 million downloads, this 5-star rated mobile puzzle game is a must-play. Download Best Fiends free on the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. That's friends without the R, Best Fiends. And now, back to the show. So, the question remains, as always, what's your double feature?
Kyle, you are the guest.
All right. I thought that I would match this with a movie called Breeders.
Oh no! Oh no! Dude, I know what Breeders is. I saw that in junior high. That movie made me feel dirty as fuck.
Yeah, because there was so little in Alligator 2 that you wanted. However, I still think that there is something. So then Breeders would be your B movie. I would do Alligator 2 first and then Breeders. So that's where the kids can go to bed.
Yeah.
Because alphabetical order.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
We're
I
very
picked these
organized.
up off of the VHS
shelf. Yeah, immediately. So Breeders I think is fun because it's short, it's gooey and dirty and awfully acted, just the same as Alligator 2. But Breeders also takes place very much underground. I mean, there's not as much class struggle or story going on with Alligator 2.
Are you going to really say that there's that much class struggle in Alligator 2?
Oh, there's more than Breeders, I suppose.
There's a lot. That's not saying much at all, I guess.
Not at all. So I think like that's a good. That would be my double feature to go with Alligator 2, just because there's more like weird underground dwellers, sort of creature features. Like you don't have to pay as much. You didn't need to pay attention to Alligator 2, but if you were at least trying, because it's the first movie of the night, by the second movie you wouldn't have to give two shits. And it's very quick. I think it's almost under 90 minutes.
Oh, I'm sure that is. They could barely even get it with like they probably got to 80 minutes with the intro scroll and credits.
So my double feature is I'm going to go with a movie where there's creatures in the water, and eventually those water creatures attack a carnival. I'm going with motherfucking Humanoids from the
son of a bitch!
Wow.
That was my pick. And the funny thing is that when Kyle said Breeders, I was like, that's a perfect triple feature with humanoids because it's super rapey monsters and you get a carnival and you get, like it's a little bit of everything. You bastard. God, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to pick now.
That's hysterical.
You can always just go with Alligator.
No, I'm going to go with fucking Last Shark because I already talked about it, and that movie is such a glorious pile of garbage.
Oh my god, I've never seen Last Shark. I guess that's my double feature.
Dude, Last Shark is a joy.
Humanoids is a perfect one, dude. That's amazing.
Oh man, we talk about humanoids so much on this show. Literally, I don't think we can go a month without talking about humanoids from the deep.
Can we actually spoil what was going to be the April Fool's Day episode before we came?
Oh fuck yeah.
So Kyle, strap in for this.
I'm ready.
We've debated picking humanoids from the deep for years.
5 years.
Like,
7 years actually.
Well, our big thing was like, how do you be funny with like that much rape? Like
Fish
it's
rape,
like very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So the idea that we had was that on April Fool's Day, we were going to post a 30-minute episode for Humanoids from the Deep.
Oh my god.
But when you clicked it, it was going to be a 30-minute cover of Fish Fuck by Guar with as many different guest vocalists as we could get to do it.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
Suffice to say, that idea never came about because that's so much work for a stupid fucking joke.
That's so much work.
We have real lives and real jobs and no time for that bullshit.
But you know what? Maybe in like 5 to 10 years, if Horror Movie Night is like paying the bills, if Horror Movie Night is paying our bills, then we'll do it.
You are insane, Matt. Funny. That is not. No,
it's called being a dreamer, Scott.
It's called Bulls, motherfucker.
Oh my god, it's called Matt Kelly is the kid from fucking Neverending Story.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so Kyle, first of all, you're getting 2 questions up front. So question number 1 is obviously, I mean, we know about Survival of the Film Freaks. Do you got anything that you have to promote, or is it still just riding survival right now?
So the campaign for this is probably over by now, but we are working on a documentary, and it's not this isn't horror related, but it's still something that I think might appeal to some of your audience, because I know you also come from a music scene, then you all like pop punk. We all have a soft spot.
Yes, we do.
So we're working on a documentary currently titled "Don't Forget to Leave" about the late musician Tim Landers, who was a founding member of the band Transit. He was also in Misser, a band called Off and On, and Cold Collective, and he passed away of a drug overdose after he was dealing with a lot of mental illness and opiate addiction. And he was a close friend of my co-director Bill Fulkerson, and they were getting ready to do a mini documentary about about Tim's recovery, because Tim was recovering. He was getting back into music. He was going back into the studio, and they were going to do this like little mini doc about his recovery. And then unfortunately, you know, one time and he's gone. So Bill felt really compelled to continue to tell this story. I had never met Tim. So with Bill's close personal relationship, my co-director, and my lack of relationship, I feel like we can both like effectively tell Tim's story while also raising awareness about these demons that I know plague a lot of people. So that's sort of the heavier but really important one that we're working on. And then I got like a couple music videos. So hopefully, and both of those music videos are horror adjacent. I'll give you details. One is basically my remake of Let's Scare Jessica to Death, which is really, is really exciting because we shot at a lot of the same locations that Let's Scare Jessica to Death was filmed at.
Wait, was that in Connecticut?
Yeah, it was a couple towns.
Awesome.
It was a couple towns over from me in Old Saybrook and Essex. So we shot at like the same cemetery that they were at, and the same like body of water that she emerges from. We shot at.
Spoiler alert, man.
Yeah, well, it's also the only way to get people to see it sometimes. No, but it was for an artist. It was for an artist, but who goes by the name of Magana, and then we shot another music video, which is totally different and a little more breeders than Let's Scare Jessica to Death. So
a little more breeders is not the selling point.
Yeah, it's the only relationship to breeders is that there's some like aliens. There's really nothing breeders related. But
okay, cool.
But yeah, it was, and then you know, of course, Survival of the Film Freaks is on Amazon Prime and stuff. So if you ever
it is so good.
Stop it.
But go on.
You guys have been wonderful champions of that, so I appreciate that, and I appreciate all you did. I wish we could have done this at the hotel, but this is just as nice to chat about movies with you here. So
all right, so the second question is the normal question that we always do, which is, have you seen anything that you want to give a quick shout out to? Say, yo, check this out, it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah. Have you guys ever seen Necropolis from
82?
Like, yeah, 82 or 83?
Yeah, it's on my long list for Horror Movie Night, actually. Is it worth... So here's the question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is
it's 87.
Oh, okay. But I know what it is.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it worth me subjecting the guys to? Because, you were the clincher as far as
Which one?
Mausoleum.
Mausoleum. Oh, Mausoleum's great. Yeah. Sorry. I would. So here's how I watched Necropolis. Okay. The first movie that I watched before it was Witchboard.
Which is not that good.
Correct. Necropolis was just as good as Witchboard.
So not good.
No. But at the time, after I had gotten through Witchboard and watched Necropolis, which I assumed was going to be a way worse movie, it was on par with Witchboard, which is a fine movie. I'm saying yes, watch Necropolis. This is my weird backwards way of being like, oh, this is not what I expected. It's really a lot of weird fun.
Do you think that we could get an episode on par with fucking
Alligator II: The Mutation?
I would say yes. I think you could.
Well,
I'm mainly thinking of 2 or 3 scenes. Like this one had like scenes. You know how like some movies just don't have like scenes you can point to and be like, that like won me over. This one has a few of them, and like that make it worthwhile. I also think this one's only like 80 minutes, so it's
you are speaking my language.
Yeah, that's a big selling point right there.
Yeah.
It's definitely. I watched a VHS PS version of it, but I also realized I think there is a few of them.
It's on
streaming.
Amazon Prime.
It's on Prime.
Yeah.
I don't know if the version's any better, but
doubtful.
It was. There's not a lot of boobs, but there are more boobs in Alligator II: The Mutation. So we're on the right track.
All right. Well, I will talk about two recent releases that I saw back to back. Saw 2 movies in 2 days. I checked out The New Invisible Man, which I don't know if I think lives up to the 92% that it has on Rotten Tomatoes, but it is a damn good like B+ movie for sure.
Nice.
And it's from the writer director of Upgrade. It's his next movie. And it definitely makes sense. You've got some cameos from some of the cast members of Upgrade, and you've just got a very smart twist on a sci-fi classic. And then, because I'm a Pixar nut who loves to cry, I checked out Onward, and it is like top 3 Pixar movies for me. Like that thing skyrocketed in there.
All right.
But it's...
I'm going to ask you in a month if you still feel that way.
No, I think I do. And here's the reason why. Because it's one of those things where like, the reason why I knew the second I watched Coco that like Coco was going to be my favorite Pixar movie and still is because it tapped into so much stuff that I connect it to, because it like reminded me of my grandfather, and it's about music, and it's like about Halloween, like it's all those things coming together. So the same thing with Onward, where it's like they're like the main character, the Chris Pratt character, plays a like their alternate reality version of Dungeons and Dragons. So like no one else cares about the history of like what their world used to be when magic exists except for him, but he's like a metalhead who loves D&D. And it's like the brotherly relationship of him and his younger brother like going out on an adventure together really like connected with like how I feel about when I hang out with Brian, and like I do feel like I have this really good bond that I'm glad that I have with him. So like there's just a lot of stuff that tapped into that, but then it's also just really fucking funny. And the trailer did something that I love, which is that if you've seen the trailer, you've only seen about the first 25 minutes of what the movie has to offer you. And then the last hour is like completely new things. And Pixar's always been really good at like kind of burying the lead in their trailers. I always appreciate that, which is why I'm stoked for Soul. Soul looks like I'm just going to be crying my eyes out the entire movie.
What's that one?
It's about a guy who dies and is a soul in heaven trying to convince souls that are about to be sent to Earth that Earth is worth living on. Here's all you need to know, Scott, because you're probably not going to want to see it. It advertised itself as from the writers. It was from the writers of Inside Out, Up, and Coco. So it's just like, hey, you remember the 3 Pixar movies that made you cry like a baby? Well, here's the new one, starring Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey. Have fun with it.
Oh no.
So,
no, Daddy, no.
That's brutal.
But yeah, also because like, you know, we talk about a lot of pop punk and metal on this show, but I got a little spot in my heart for some good jazz music, so I could go for like an all jazz score. I was like, oh yeah, that'd be good. All right, so Scott, how about you? What is the thing you want to say? What up? You should check it out.
Wow. Sure. I would love to. So I got a lot of shit to talk about. I'm just gonna rattle off a couple things. I read a book called The Deep by Nick.
I literally thought you were about to say Nick Cave, and I was like, fuck
I almost did. That's why I can't remember his name. Anyway, I read The Deep. It was the guy that wrote The Troop, and people suggested it on the internet because people were talking about how it kind of underwater kind of reminded them of The Deep, and I was like, oh fuck, Cthulhu, underwater monsters,
Alligator II, the Mutation. It's great.
Yeah,
it's
exactly. And it's nothing like underwater at all. It is very derivative. It wasn't a bad or slow read, but I was so upset with the exposition dump in the last 20 pages that I just have a real bad taste in my mouth. And this is why I don't fucking read books anymore. You know, like an entertaining book that gets ruined in the last quarter is the biggest fucking blue ball bullshit of my adult life. And it happens more often than it doesn't because people don't know how to end a story. I mean, Stephen King has the same problem, right? But like, you know, Stephen King was doing it when I was young, and so he got a pass, you know, because I didn't know about his bullshit. The Deep is not terrible, and there are some incredibly disgusting parts in it. That's kind of what that author does, but I don't know if I would read. I don't know if I'd read anything else by him, but I was excited by it and disappointed by the end of it. But if there is any aquatic horror that anyone listening wants to suggest to me, please fucking send us an email at hmnpodcast@gmail.com or send us a message on Instagram, hmnpodcast, or comment in the group when we post this episode. If you even make it to the end of this episode, please let me know. I would love to read more books about aquatic monsters that is not written by H.P. Lovecraft, the racist. So that's one thing. And then I also want to talk about Megan and I burnt through Lock and Key, the Netflix show, which was additionally pretty fucking disappointing because it felt like Stranger Things, but more family friendly than Stranger Things, which is fucking crazy because Stranger Things is about as PG as you can get in 2019. Mm-hmm. So those two things. And then I watched Dark Waters from 1994, which is an Italian movie, I want to say, about nuns and sea monsters. And it's very like Lynchian in some of its visuals. And it was fun. It was on Amazon Prime for free. I'm glad I didn't pay for it, but it was like, if you like Italian shit where it doesn't really make sense why people do things and it's just very atmospheric.
Please.
Yeah. Kyle, watch it, dude. Like, it's a good time one time. You know what I'm saying?
I like that review.
Yeah, I do know what you're saying. I know it sounds like the way I just explained Necropolis to Witchboard, so it sounds perfect.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I'm sitting here in my basement. I'm looking over at a poster that my good buddy Scott Roger sent me in the mail for a birthday.
No last names!
Of Alligator II, the Mutation, just hanging on my wall. So, you know what? If you hop on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/HMN podcast, there might be a bonus conversation between Scott, Kyle, and I about some of the movie posters that we've collected in our lifetime. Yeah, stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, if you're not going to go over to the Patreon, although you totally should, you should also go ahead and follow us on all of our social media, which is in the description, in the episode description. And tune in next week for another episode of Horror Movie Night, where we discuss, here you can go through the whole route to figure this out if you really want to know. It is the first What Did I Watch that Brian Kelly ever had on this show.
Oh my God, I don't even remember that.
So tune in. And
I do.
Tune in for that.
listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.